Did y'all watch the entire thing? Like, am I the only one that had trouble getting through it? A whole 3 hours about two entertainers talking about politics for 3 hours. Y'all enjoyed that? Kanye West went on the Joe Rogan podcast and they talked at length about things that I think professionals would be better suited to talk about. Now, I like Kanye West and I like Joe Rogan separately more than I like them in the same room. But I think the more and more I watch this interview, the more and more not only Kanye, but also Joe kind of seemed a little out of touch. And I only say that because Joe, for the most part, comes off to me as a guy that knows a little about a lot. He never passes himself off as a person that knows everything, but the dude seems pretty well informed and keeping himself up to date on current events and topics. So when Kanye West was going on and on about tons of different rants that really had not much to do with the question that he was asked, I expected Rogan to be a little bit more aggressive in challenging Kanye to keep him held to answering the question that he had just asked without allowing him this many detours in the conversation. Out of the whole interview, I think what I learned most about Kanye is that he has the most solutions for the future, but none really addressing the present. And that's concerning to me as someone who's running for president, that you don't have any answers for the current situation. It spells to me that you're living so far in the future, so far ahead of the present moment, that you're not actually sitting down to consider what people are going through in this very moment. And if you are, it doesn't really appeal to you because you don't really represent that demographic. That's not something that I'm angry with when it comes to Kanye. I've accepted that he's just a different kind of person. I say these two went on about foreign policy for a while, but to say that is a little disingenuous because they don't really go into it much at all, which is one of the main reasons I thought Kanye would be appearing on the podcast. This is something that I feel would have been better suited for 2 years ago, where Kanye West's comments would have needed much more clarification, where a large majority of people hadn't already accepted the fact that there is something mentally that Kanye West is going through, and we can't always react to exactly what he says in the most negative, most overbearing, and most surprised fashion. Seeing him more calm and collected, despite the fact that he was rambling a lot and pretty scattered throughout majority of the interview, I don't feel gave people the same shock factor that they were expecting from hearing Kanye West x Joe Rogan podcast 2 years ago. On a base, human, fundamental level, I think a lot of what Kanye West says makes some sense. And I've never not thought of Kanye West as a competent individual. When it comes to his commentary on agriculture and schools, I think that's great. Him talking about the relationship that he has with God and, how that relationship has led him to be more consistent, less arrogant, and a little bit more mindful of the things that he does. I think spirituality can be used as a great tool for helping people rehabilitate old habits. But these would all be things that I'd much rather be open to hearing if Kanye West wasn't also running for president. Something that he barely addresses out of the 3 hours, and pretty much chalks up to leaving the rest to experts if he, I guess, comes into a roadblock where his ignorance is too high to actually discern what the proper solution would be if given a political setback or a political challenge, which obviously wouldn't bode well for most people who take voting seriously. It will make Kanye West look like the least reasonable candidate out of the two major ones. As usual, the more Kanye West speaks, the least in touch he seems with regular society. Obviously throws people off when he speaks because he doesn't tend to speak for regular members of society, primarily saying that he doesn't speak for the common demographic because he's not addressing things that I feel most of the common demographic are even worried about. Will my taxes be raised? Can I finally afford health care? Will the police in my area endanger myself and my children? What are you going to do about the price of education? Do you feel like people should pay to learn, or do you feel like it should be a right? What are you going to do about people at the border? How would you address the pandemic? None of these questions are really brought up. I think the thing that's at least a little bit more endearing about Kanye West, if you can give him any credit for that, is him being so transparent and open with being out of touch versus the two candidates that are running right now who are trying so actively to make people seem like they care about average everyday American citizens. So he's got honesty going for him at least. But outside of that, most of what Kanye West is talking about to me just feels like conjecture, especially when he goes on and brings up conspiracy theories, talking about Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee, one that I wasn't really too privy to because I thought it was common knowledge what happened to both of them. I felt his commentary in regards to his battle with with the music labels and ownership were interesting, coming from someone with his financial stature in the music business. Kanye West has great foresight. I think his vision is absolutely insane, not only as a musician, but just as a figure. But that does not immediately translate into me having faith in his political problem-solving abilities. Not once out of this entire interview did Kanye West give me more hope or more confidence in his ability to comfortably lead people in any political direction, or even in a social one. The ability to keep talking and make regular sense for a regular person, because people assume because he was diagnosed with bipolar that somehow makes him stupid, and then they're surprised when he's able to speak and make sense in a lot of other ways outside of the question that may have been directed at him. Then Joe Rogan gives the response, hey, I don't know why they're calling you crazy. Well, yeah, I don't really think regular people should be calling Kanye West crazy, but I don't think there's anything with calling him scattered. And Joe kind of feeds into that narrative throughout the interview and asks less questions and gives Kanye West an even bigger platform to speak on whatever, go on this tangent and this tangent. And the more you continue to watch the interview, you kind of see that Joe is kind of led into believing this interview is more to prove Kanye West isn't crazy, as opposed to proving why Kanye West should be president. And I say one takes precedence over the other because he will be the biggest distraction when it comes to people who are on the fence on whether or not they should vote or how seriously or not they should take votes. And I just feel like the interview gets derailed from what I feel like a lot of people would go into a Kanye West interview in 2024 into, let's make sure people know you have common sense. All in all, I did get through a good portion of the interview. There was a lot said that sometimes I disagreed with, but for the most part, it isn't nearly as bad as I think some people are trying to make it out to be. And very quickly to announce that Drake has another album coming, and I'm not announcing this, I don't know why I said it like that, but Drake himself did. Now, after seeing the trailer, I gotta tell you, I'm not too excited about what I've seen, alright? I'm only saying that because artists that generally reference old work heavily when it comes to their new sound or their new style, their new work, or their new album, generally don't live up to expectations. Now, I do love the fact that this trailer was so cinematic, it felt so surreal, it felt very nostalgic. I thought that moment where there was the little kid looking up through the roses at the black sky, I thought that was a beautiful scenery, and the light peering down on him as if he were the chosen one, as if this were all some divine purposing, and Drake is actually here as the new form or new version of Jesus. Certified lover boy with a haircut like this is something that only Drake could do and still be somewhat taken seriously artistically. I've never in my entire 25 years of living seen a man get a heart cut into his head. I've never seen that in my life. It's the most subtle and also most overbearing statement ever, because it says, I'm a certified lover boy, and let me prove to you how much of a certified lover boy I am by cutting a heart into my hairline. So far, I think we've only heard one song from this album, Laugh Now, Cry Later. He references albums like Nothing Was the Same, Take Care, and even his old mixtape So Far Gone. And if he's going to combine all of these elements, I don't know what this album is going to end up being. I do hope that Drake plays more to his strengths and, delivers content, like actual content, something that we can chew on, something that we can mull over. While I like Drake and his ability to slick talk, I think moments where he delves into his personal, a genuine level can sometimes be some of the greatest music that he's ever written. Apparently it's coming at the top of the year, January 2021. I am excited about it, but at the same time, I don't generally expect too much when it comes to artists referencing old work on new bodies of work. After what he gave on Dark Lane demo tapes, I can say I'm more hopeful, because Dark Lane demo tapes didn't seem to be a try-hard B-sides record at all. It just seemed to be Drake being smooth, being in his element, not taking the process or the songs too seriously, which made for much more entertaining content, made for much more fun songs, and overall just made for a better listening experience. So I hope that's the bag that he stays in and we get something really enjoyable to listen to. Y'all can let me know how you feel about it in the comment section down below. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this new Drake album, if you are looking forward to it, if you've given up hope on Drake completely, and I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out. Until next time.